Okay guys, so we are going to make a quick toggle clasp using a leather cord and some copper wire and copper sheet. So here I'm just taking this leather cord and I'm kind of measuring out how much I need for the clasp. I'm just kind of eyeballing it at this point, and I'm taking this copper wire and my chain nose pliers, and I'm very lightly holding on to it, which then I decide this probably isn't the best idea because it actually crimps down on the leather and it will damage it, which eventually will become a weak point and break off. So I'm twisting it by hand, and then I'm holding on to just the wire, and I'm twisting around with this 20 gauge copper wire with my right hand. And so I'm trying a variety of methods, whether or not using pliers is better or my hands, and I decide that working with it with my hands is generally better. So I just start kind of rolling it with my hands, and you can see here that it's pretty effective. I'm really being mindful of how much pressure I apply, and then also using my chain nose pliers to kind of compress these coils together because I want them to be as even as possible. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually holding on to the coil with my chain nose pliers, but I'm applying a very small amount of pressure. I'm just trying to get leverage because I haven't done this in a while. Again, compressing everything using my chain nose because it wasn't perfect. And then I'm going to use my cutters to cut off the ends and use my chain nose pliers to then kind of snuggle up the ends so they don't stick out and poke you on the back of your neck. So kind of nibbling at the wire and compressing it back in on itself. Again, I don't want to see any gaps, so I'm compressing everything. Okay, so here I am measuring out and sketching on my piece of copper the toggle clasp. So it will basically be a bar that then gets hooked onto the loop that we just made. And I'm using my dividers and my Sharpie. Basically, the rule is you want the toggle clasp to be double the width of the hole that you are placing it into. So here I'm just filing all the edges and making sure that I'm using the round side of my half round to file the round side of my toggle and the flat side to file the convex side of my toggle. I'm peeling off the cover because I don't need that, and it's actually quite distracting. And I will continue filing until the shape that I want is done. Once the filing is done, we'll move on to the sanding, starting with 220 grit and moving to 320, 400, and 600. Remember to be mindful of the direction that you're sanding. So if your 220 is being sanded horizontally, then the 320 will be sanded vertically, and so on, just to make sure that you can see all the lines that you're making. So now I'm trying to fit my leather cord through the hole that I drilled. We only have the larger drill bit, which is a number 52, and since it's still too small to allow clearance, I'm going to make the hole bigger by using a saw frame and kind of filing out the edges of the inside of the hole to make it larger. And then I will move on to using a file, a needle file, or a micro file might be better in this application to really clean up the hole. So now that the cord fits, we can now wrap the copper wire around the cord to then tie off the toggle so that it functions fully as a necklace. Don't forget to also wax your copper toggle at this point before attaching it to your leather piece, otherwise you can get your wax everywhere. So now I'm grabbing again a pair of chain nose pliers to hold on to the little tail of copper wire so I can use my right hand to really twist the coil around the leather cord. Remember to apply the same amount of pressure and really try to keep that coil compressed. You don't want any leather peeking out through the sides. And here I'm using my chain nose pliers to compress the wire up into itself. I also made sure that my wire wrapping around the toggle and the clasp are very similar. So here I'm fitting it through and it fits great. Looks perfect.